Morning. My name is Jan Rubenstein. I never come to public meetings like this. I have a wife and 3 kids and go about my busy life with little or no rabble-rousing activism or much time to stand up for causes. But I finally decided I needed to speak up today because I have come to the conclusion that my smart meter is making me sick. Ever since it was installed, I suffer from severe headaches, insomnia, and painful pressure and ringing in my ears. As soon as I go somewhere away from smart meters, my symptoms disappear. I was skeptical of my conclusions at first, but after careful observation, I feel with certainty that it's my smart meter. I want my analog meter back. I'm sure you all want to make fair policy decisions. It seems to me that this should take into consideration the reasonable request of those who simply want to go back to the way things were when we had our analog meters and felt healthier. Thank you.
Thank you. Siri Skull to be followed by Randall Stewart McDonald and then Margaret Smith.
Hi, I'm here to voice my concerns about smart meters. I've watched as my mom, Sudi Skull's health has deteriorated over the last year. The worst was when her nerve pain was so bad up her neck after exposure to smart meter radiation that she couldn't even take her sweatshirt off herself. I had to help her, and she's a young 62 years old. Truthfully, I don't want to believe that EMF could be so harmful, but seeing her in that state, along with changes I can't help but notice in myself, waking at 5 a.m. and not being able to fall back asleep when I used to love sleeping in, occasional pulsing in my inner ear I never had before, all have led me to one conclusion. Why risk our health, which is fundamentally the most important thing we have, to follow through with a program that has such few benefits? The smart meter program is like a relationship one gets involved in too quickly. Not enough data or research to pull the trigger, yet the CPUC and PG&E have arranged for our marriage. They say that what's done is done, despite the fact that more and more people are coming forward, and will continue to, who report irregular heart palpitations, migraines, nerve pains, sleep disturbances, etc., since this new relationship with smart meters began. As you listen to people speak here today, I ask that you seriously consider annulling this hasty marriage, or at the very least give people the option without penalizing them with rate hikes to stick with their tried and true analog meters. Thank you.
Commissioner Peavy, you have never held hearings that satisfied the public that these devices are safe. Instead, we keep getting reassurances instead of facts that wireless smart meters are safe. The opt-out meter versions are in fact wireless, but we are once again assured that the transmitters will never be turned on. The Commission needs and must hold public hearings on this issue because it's very confusing to the public. We are overburdened with the tyranny of technology and the corporatization of our public spaces. I recently returned from a trip to San Diego to visit my sister, who has been telling me she was suffering from heart palpitations and panic attacks. She said that her neighbors in her duplex were suffering from the same symptoms. Upon investigation, we found smart meters right outside of her neighbors' bedrooms. They were installed shortly before these symptoms started manifesting. I think that we're hearing so much testimony now. It's very clear that there's a problem. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Katharina Johnson. I'm a family physician from Europe, from Austria. And we know that 3% of the population is electrohypersensitive, with 30% of the population is sensitive. This will become more and more. The number will be more and more because the radiation put out by the smart meters, it has a cumulative effect. And in Sweden, it's a recognized disease, electrohypersensitivity. And I saw a letter from the Karolinska Institute of Sweden, which is the seat of the Nobel Prize, awards the Nobel Prize from medicine and physics. It has warned the CPUC of the implementation of the smart meters because they know it is a dangerous technology. And the PG&E tells us that the smart meters are safe, but this is not true because they have only studied their thermal effects. They've never looked into the non-thermal effects. And we know from research that the non-thermal effects of the radiation can harm mitochondrial dysfunction, can harm red blood cells, white blood cells. It's going to weaken the blood-brain barrier. It can lead to toxins into the brain. It can induce a stress response by high cortisol levels, and the list goes on and on and on. And that's why we're seeing all these diseases in people. And I really hope that you will take this into consideration and immediately stop the smart meter program. This needs to be stopped, and we need to have our analog meters back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I would like to propose an add-on to your opt-out that will consider those of us who become ill from smart meters or who are electrically sensitive, as I've become. I have a note from my doctor. I do much better with an analog meter. I'm fine. I'm normal with an analog meter. I did have my smart meter replaced with a digital meter, which I think is what is proposed right now in the current opt-out. It has not provided relief. But then I house sat for a friend in Tiburon for a while, and I felt great. I felt fine. I didn't feel hyper. I didn't have heart palpitations. I didn't have all the symptoms that everyone keeps talking about that sent me to the emergency room that I had never had before. I believe there are more than 3% of the population suffering, some coming under the radar. Last time I was here, President Peavy, you always look so kind. I'm the kind of person that wants to believe in you and believe that you are here to represent us. I want to. I'm that kind of person, despite what everybody's saying. But last time I was here, I said, who can I talk to? You said, go talk to this PG&E representative. And we all went to talk to him and hound him, and he said, I can't do anything until this opt-out comes through. And I said, but you're proposing a digital meter. I know, President Peavy, that you had I know that a few people got analog meters after they spoke here. So I was hopeful. So the PG&E rep said, well, that was because President Peavy told us to put analog meters on. So I feel like you gave me a runaround and like you're picking and choosing who deserves it or who's sicker, and that's just not fair. I have a special needs son who also can't sleep. He's 9.5 years old. He does fine when he's not around this. Even with my digital meter, this is the point I'm trying to make, it's not enough. Those of us who are electrically sensitive, those of us who are suffering, if we have a note, if we have something so we can have an analog, I've never gone over time before, but I had to say that.
Hi. I've never done this before, so I'm a little nervous, but I'm here for my rights. My health has been adversely affected after the smart meter was installed, and I'm a registered nurse, so I do know what I'm talking about. I've had neurological and cardiac sudden symptoms that I didn't have before. The migraines are horrible. There's no reason for them. The neurologist can't find any reason for them. The MRAs are all negative. Now I'm having cardiac arrhythmias. And that's frightening to think somebody at my age is having cardiac arrhythmias. Cardiologist doesn't know why I'm having these cardiac arrhythmias. Well, we all know why. It's because of the smart meter. I want the smart meter out. I want my analog meter back, and I shouldn't have to pay for it. I've already had to pay with the co-payments, the medical co-payments for the ER visits, for the doctor visits, and everything else. I want my analog meter back. Thank you.
Gertrude Gavin, to be followed by Lisa Moscow.
Good morning. In October 2009, PG&E stealthily replaced the analog meters in my home. Within the same month, I developed sudden and horrible physical symptoms. I felt a heavy pressure in my head with a horrible headache I never had before. I felt like I was going to faint with a feeling of dizziness, and my vision was bothered as well. My stomach bothered me, and I felt like I was going to throw up. There was a couple of times I lost my balance and almost fell forward in the hallway of my home, and also in the bath as I showered. I also started to forget words. A few months later, in 2010, when I attended the Green Festival in San Francisco, there was a group in front of the building who, unlike PG&E, cared enough to inform people about the effects of the smart meters. The leaflets they gave out listed symptoms I felt that I had. Naturally, I felt worried and angry.
Now I feel the intermittent symptoms that everyone else describes. I can't stay home all day anymore because I start feeling horrible. I'm here to ask CPUC and PG&E to give us back our analog meters. God's word says that we have to be compassionate towards one another and not motivated by anything else. To add insult to injury, PG&E want to charge us for the removal of the smart meters and a monthly charge on top of that. We did not cause this problem. You did. It was incumbent upon you to tell us that the smart meter caused physical symptoms which are felt by many. So please listen to us and thank you.
Dr. Sandra Ross. Practitioners are reporting serious symptoms patients suffer from unsafe electricity from all digital meters. A well-known neurology clinic told me that EMF reduces production of vitally important neurotransmitters, including serotonin, dopamine, and melatonin. This adversely impacts cognition, depression, anxiety, quality of sleep, and immune system functioning. You know deep in your being these meters are damaging people. Hiding behind industry research and utility-manipulated numbers does not protect you. Alter the proposed opt-out decision to read that people can have analogs until time-of-day tariff is fully implemented, and direct utilities to create a meter that does not put dirty electricity on the lines before the tariff can be activated. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ed Kramer. I'm from Santa Cruz, California, and I came here to address your board respectfully. I'm suffering from the EMF and the RF. I get memory loss. I get the incredible sounds from that technology, and due to the lack of sleep, I usually only get about 3.5 hours or 4 hours of sleep. Somehow I'm lucky enough to fall asleep at the end of the day, and I can get a little bit of sleep out of just sheer exhaustion. And then when I wake up, I can't get back to sleep because of that sound that I hear, which is not really coming in through my ear canals. It's penetrating the side of my skull because of the technology. And it's not just the smart meter, not the electric smart meter or the gas smart meter, but it may even be the repeater station that may be on a power pole near my house. It's just a continual noise, and I'm actually trying to get out of this country. I have my house listed up for sale. I just don't want to be here anymore. It's just too much. And I think, if you want kind words, I think you could just listen to all the people that have been speaking here and just do what they want, just to have that technology taken away. I would be pleased to come back here with kind words if the technology was taken away. Thank you very much for considering what I've been saying.
My name is Angela Flynn. I stayed at a house that had a smart meter over the Thanksgiving weekend. I couldn't sleep, and I woke up at 1 in the morning, and I was like, why? The meter was downstairs. I was 2 rooms over. I thought it would do okay. So I broke out my meter, which measures the radiation, and I found that the wiring of the house was putting off fairly high levels of radiation. Yes, well below the FCC level, but it was about 1 to 3 microwatts per centimeter squared. And this was coming off of all the wires, all through the house. This stuff is putting this high-frequency energy into the wiring of our homes. There was a recent study with Wi-Fi laptops, and it found that radiation at the level of 1.1 microwatts per centimeter squared causes the sperm to be slower moving and to have genetic mutations, genetic damage. This is a serious consequence. This is what we're getting in our environment today. So we really need to address this and stop the whole program.